everyone. We are back with another Risk Insurance Dialogues interview. Today we have Tim Buckley, and he is the President and Head of Innovation at PriMedical. So thank you so much, Tim, for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Katie, for having me.
Of course. And to get us started, can you just introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm the President and Head of Innovation at PriMedical and PriMed Solutions. I've been in workers' comp for 21 years now, and I've done everything from operations to account management and sales, and starting my own company back in 2014.
That's awesome. And I really want to talk about, you founded your company at a young age and kind of stepped into that leadership role really early on. What inspired you to take that leap, and was there a certain problem that you were trying to really solve at that time?
Yeah, so I had already been in the industry about 10 years and worked for multiple companies and got a really good understanding from the client perspective what the expectations were. And I knew that I could be in control of that if I started my own company. So instead of having to rely on, a company that I worked for, I could directly impact the level of service and the outcomes that we had if I went and did it myself. So that's what really pushed me to start my own company. It's kind of creating your own destiny, but also creating this company that met the needs of everyone that I knew in the industry, the feedback they were giving to me, specifically regarding the case management services that we offer. And I really wanted to do something with that and make a powerful impact where I could in the industry.
Yeah, that's great. And, when you, I guess, build a company kind of from the ground up, I know that that's definitely something that's not easy. So what kind of obstacles, or what are some of the biggest obstacles or challenges that you faced, and how did they impact who you are in your career today?
Great question. Yeah, there's a lot of barriers to starting a company, but at that point in my career, I could always get another sales job, so I knew that I had something to fall back on. And so while it was a risk that I thought I could be quite successful if I really put my work ethic and determination into the company. And, there were a few obstacles like my age. I was 29 years old when I started my company. So, the credibility and the understanding of running a company, I think people tend to be a little skeptical around that when they see a younger person stepping out on their own and doing that. But one of the biggest things that I did that made me successful was reach out for help to industry folks that had expertise that I did not have. So either engage with them and have them work for me or help me in some capacity, or learn from them. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a tech whiz. But all of those resources are out there. So it was just a matter of putting those feelers out there for who might be able to assist and help me get things off the ground. And I was grateful that I did that because I learned more than I could have even expected through that journey.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I think sometimes people are afraid to, not know something and reach out for help when they don't know something. And that's such an important skill to have, because then you can learn so much more just by doing that. And it really puts you ahead by being able to ask for help and learn things.
Yeah. And even though I did that, it took me still a few more years into running the company to learn more about delegating and hiring more experts to come in and do things that I was attempting to do, but they were preventing me from growing and from me doing the things that I'm really good at on a full-time basis, which is building relationships and being out in the field. I was running operations as well. So really putting the experts where they can, succeed, and letting me do what I do best was a learning curve, and it took a few years, but again, happy that I stepped into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worked out great. So that kind of leads into our next question, which is about relationship building and networking. And I know that you've built such a strong reputation in the industry, and, a great network with you. So what advice do you have for young professionals that are looking to build that strong network as well and build a good name for themselves in the industry?
Great question. Relationships are paramount. Relationships are everything. So I think meeting people in the industry, networking, any method that you have to network and meet folks, whether it's conferences, uh, after hours events, video calls, reach out and connect with people that may not be able to directly impact your day to day, but they potentially could in the future. This industry is very large, but also very small. Everyone says that all the time. You never know, who you're going to cross paths with again in the future, and their role might change. Your role might change. So that could be a relationship in the future that turns out to a working relationship and a business relationship. But regardless, protecting your network, building those relationships. Um, my whole perspective has always been be as true to myself and as authentic as possible. And that's how you attract people who are willing to be in your corner, a source of advice, potential mentors, things like that. And when you're in a bind and you put feelers out there, like on LinkedIn, you see names pop up that you didn't even expect to help you or to circle back around and be a resource for you in this, future situation. So really, relationships are paramount. I pride myself on building deep relationships. I love the clients that we work with and getting to know them. We're all people outside of work comp, right? So we need to acknowledge that, and I think it makes the working relationships even better when you have a deeper relationship.
Yeah, definitely. It gives people something to connect to in the industry aside from just the service. They have a person behind that service that they enjoy working with. So that's definitely a great point. Now, kind of moving into innovation, one of your roles is head of innovation. So I wanted to ask for young professionals, maybe early on in their career, that aren't in leadership roles yet, how can they really think outside the box and add value from an early point in their career so that it can really help them as they move on?
So when it comes to, younger folks in the industry and innovation, everyone's coming from different backgrounds, and that's what I find really interesting about the insurance world. When I contact and connect with new folks, whether they're on the client side, operations, new to the industry, I always ask, where did you come from? How did you get into the industry? And I love hearing the answers to those questions because it was a fluke, it was random that I got into the industry. Um, but because of my work ethic, my natural curiosity and desire to grow and innovate and all of those things, I pushed my opportunity to the max. And I really encourage other folks doing that. Reach out to other people who are innovating within your organization, the people who are willing to listen to your ideas, put your ideas out there in writing, ask for opportunities to have the platform to speak about ideas that might influence processes within your organization or ways to make things more efficient, save money. I mean, obviously, those are important to any business. So I think leaders would be willing to listen to that. But that's always been part of my company's culture and my model because I know what it did for me. And I think it's just a matter of speaking up and having people who are willing to listen to those ideas because you never know, it could be something that you've never thought of before as a leader, and you've got amazing people supporting you that can take your organization to even the next level. And those are the people you really want to nurture and support and see grow with your company.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, sometimes when you're in a certain role, like having people from other roles kind of be eyes on the outside looking in can always provide new ideas. And so that's a great point. People come from all areas into insurance. So there's all these different outlooks, which is really exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
And so now our last question, which I always like to ask in some form, is what is some advice that you would give to someone coming into the industry or who has an idea or something that they want to bring into the industry? What advice would you give them to kind of help turn these ideas or opportunities into a reality?
I think it's important to focus on the reality of executing an idea, asking questions about your idea. But I'm a big fan of putting things out there because it holds you accountable for the ideas you come up with, right? So um, it'll encourage the people around you to follow up and ask about where those, thoughts and ideas are in the process of potentially executing them. Um, Taking a step forward, you have to believe in yourself and have a level of confidence. Not everything is going to work out, not everything is going to be a great idea, but I think that in an ever-changing industry such as insurance and specifically workers' comp, we're always evolving. So there is a place for new ideas. There is a place for young people stepping into the industry and having a wonderful impact because they're coming in a generation where technology is at the forefront. All we do is talk about technology now. And so these amazing resources are potential new industry folks that could join our organizations and make a huge impact. So I think, again, forming relationships, making it apparent that you're interested in joining the industry, um, through any method possible is a great start. Just plant the seeds, get your foot in the door any way you can, and try different things. You might be an adjuster who loves adjusting, but wants to figure out how to innovate that and could take that to a whole other level. But you also see adjusters who leave and do sales and marketing, or sales and marketing folks that become risk managers. So people find where they are truly passionate in the industry, and that takes a little bit of experimentation. And I think our industry is very forgiving in that if you want to, switch up your career, the relationships and the people in the industry are rather supportive of that. So it's a great industry to be in, and I encourage young folks to, if they have any in with what we do, find out a way to learn more and express their thoughts on how they can have an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. You're such a wonderful wealth of knowledge in the industry, and just such a great person overall. So I really enjoyed this time with you, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Katie. It was a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the industry as well.
Thank you.